Yeah, I'm Mike Ika. I'm a Battalion Chief with the Sierra Fire Protection District. And last Thursday I responded to the Washoe Fire. I arrived on scene here at about 15 minutes after it started. And I wasn't assigned to the fire at first. I was the duty officer for Sierra Fire. What I did observe though is a very rapidly expanding wildland interface fire. The winds were probably 50, maybe 60 miles an hour. It was blowing the smoke across the highway. Very hard to see. The fire was contained to the east side of the fire. As it moved along, the fire jumped the highway because of the rapid rate of spread, the dry vegetation, and the high winds. And it crossed over on the west side of the highway, and I became involved in the fire command. I was given an assignment as a Division B supervisor, and I had the Pleasant Valley area was the area that I was protecting. In there we noticed, this time of year, because we do have, the leaves have fallen off of the trees, so we have a lot more accumulated matter that can blow in the wind. So there was an extreme amount of embers blowing around, and the fuel is extremely dry. We had very small amount of moisture prior to this week. So our fuel moistures are actually record 20-year lows right now. So everything was just waiting for the right conditions. And last Thursday afternoon we had those right conditions. We had the wind, we had the ignition, the wind, the temperatures are right. The humidity was really low during the day. Earlier in the day it was 5-6%. It actually had risen by the time the fire started. The weather station at my house where I came from showed that the RHs were low single digit to around 12:30. They increased to 25 to 30%. So it wasn't quite as bad as it was when the initial during the early part of the day. But the fire rapidly expanding, rapidly spreading. I was here about 12:45, maybe 1 o'clock, and by 1:30 the fire reached the center of Pleasant Valley. We did have, unfortunately, we did lose a few structures there, and it seemed like a lot of them were caused by either embers blowing underneath the shingles, and especially on a tile roof. Normally you hear where a tile roof is safe, but we're finding that the embers actually blow underneath the roof and involve a roof fire. We've had, in our experiences with this fire and also with the Collin Ranch fire, foundation vents, if they're open, if garage doors are open, if you leave your house, if you evacuate, make sure you shut everything up. We noticed open garage doors have caused fires. Junipers up against your house, pine trees, things like that. Anything that's flammable that's against your house, you need to remove it. So we ask people to have kind of like a cleared zone around their house, and then for an additional 30 feet after that, we like to have an area of reduced vegetation. And then even beyond the 30 feet, we like a transition zone where you reduce some of the native vegetation, maybe gives the fire a chance to slow down before it gets to your property, and it makes it easier for the firefighters to protect your property.
Were there any additional challenges fighting a fire in kind of this more rural area than the Collin fire, which was a little more urban?
This area, we didn't have as many resources initially as we would in town, but we did have the resources. I think the thing that was hard to overcome with this fire was the fact that the wind was blowing, 60, 70 miles an hour. I think there was even a recorded gust of 80 miles an hour in Washoe Valley. So that was the biggest thing. A fire that's spreading this fast and this dry fuel with winds at those magnitude, it's almost impossible to stop the fire.